Have you ever said to yourself, my house is a mess. I know I should just dive in and put everything away, but there's so much stuff. It seems really overwhelming, and I have no idea where to start. So we pretend not to see it, and then we add to the clutter, and it just gets worse and worse. But instead of letting things get more and more out of hand, we can find motivation in some simple techniques that are easy to use and remember. This past week was crazy busy, and my place was getting messy and things were starting to pile up. So I thought, let's get through the week and I could share how I organize and clean, what my thought process is, and how I like to tackle a messy house. Since I'm over 50, I've had decades of experience organizing, decluttering, and cleaning. Hi, I'm Dana from Dana Findwell, and today I'll be organizing, cleaning, and doing some decluttering throughout this video. I would love the company, so grab a cup of tea, or let's work side by side and get our homes nice and tidy. It's nearly impossible for us to be motivated all the time. For us to have the energy and desire to declutter and clean isn't really that natural. So we need different techniques so we don't have to rely on motivation all the time. This is where forming great habits really come into play. Okay, so if we want to prioritize keeping our home clean and clutter-free, we need ways to make this a habit in our daily or weekly routine. So for each cleaning session, start with throwing away garbage. This first step is great because it's relatively simple. It also gets the ball rolling, which I think is half the battle. Start with a section of your house and scan for any garbage. Once that's done, I like to search for items that belong in a specific place. These items are so easy to put back because there's no hesitation or need to figure things out. I like to group items that belong in the same area. For example, I grab all items that go into the bedroom so that I have less trips back and forth. I'll put those items on the bed and I'll either put them away right away or wait to finish the section I was working on. I've heard others recommend putting one item away at a time. And while that may work for some people, I feel like that takes too long. That means many trips to the bedroom rather than just one or two trips. It might help to use a big bag or laundry basket to transport items if you have a lot. Once the area is clear, I can then move to another area or section. But what's key here is that everything should have a place. If it has a place, it takes very little effort to declutter. Oh, and declutter doesn't only mean to get rid of. It also means to put away so it's no longer clutter. Cleaning and decluttering kind of feel like a luxury to me. It's a luxury of time because I actually really enjoy cleaning and decluttering and organizing. But I think there's two different things. One is for my mom, it really wasn't a priority to clean. And maybe it's because she worked full time. She was more like the breadwinner in our family. My dad, he owned his own business and everything too, but I think my mom made more money. So she worked really hard and she was a hairdresser. She had her own business, worked in San Francisco. She'd commute every day. And then after that, she'd pick up me and my brother, cook dinner, took care of us, and then, it all started all over again. So she was never one to clean a lot, but it was something that, when she had some time, she'd do. And later on, as me and my brother got older, we were the ones that were vacuuming and doing the dishes and things like that. And I actually learned how to cook, from my mom. I guess we were like latchkey kids, we kind of had to take care of ourselves because my mom was working so much. And then I guess it translates to when I became a mom and I was a single mom. So I found myself working and, trying to make money. And so again, the cleaning, the organizing was pushed to the side or when I had time. And that's why it feels like a luxury to me, I guess. Maybe because it wasn't high on the priority list. So I would love for it to be higher on my priority list.
ናቲ ለምንድን ነው ሁሉ ዘፈኖች የሚያሳዝኑት? Mama said no more sad songs when I'm low. I might get a little down, but it's fine though. Mama said don't you cry, no. Just know that it's gonna be okay. Now I'm trying to hit them high notes when I'm low. I don't know exactly how, but I'm trying though. Mama said don't you cry, no. Just know that it's gonna be okay. Oh no, all of these nights took a toll on me, Lord. Please send me some hope, cause part of me is lost in the darkness, but part of me can still hear my mama's voice saying when the sun goes down and the fields come on. Anytime you get to feeling low, just think about that little boy back home who used to say he would find a way. Mama said no more sad songs when I'm low. I might get a little down, but it's fine though. Mama said don't you cry, no. Just know that it's gonna be okay. Now I'm trying to hit them high notes when I'm low. I don't know exactly how, but I'm trying though. Mama said don't you cry, no. Just know that it's gonna be okay. Oh mama, could you pray for me? Cause I need it. When the road gets high, you always say to me, boy, pick your head up when the sun goes down and feels alone. Anytime you get to feeling low, just think about that little boy back home who used to say he would find a way. Now mama said no more sad songs when I'm low. I might get a little down, but it's fine though. Mama said don't you cry, no. Just know that it's gonna be okay. Now I'm trying to hit them high notes when I'm low. I don't know exactly how, but I'm trying though. Mama said don't you cry, don't you cry. Just know that it's gonna be okay. Yo mama, I know. Mama, I know. Mama said no more sad songs. ናቲ ይህን የሚያሳዝን ዘፈን ማቆም አለብን። እሺ እኔ ፍቅር I know. በርታ ናትዬ እሺ።
Because I have moved so many times during my lifetime, I have downsized every time I moved. And my last move was a big move in which I really probably downsized, I would say almost like 50%, maybe even more, maybe like 60% of my stuff. So when you have less stuff, things tend to not get too out of hand. And like for this video, for this cleanup, this is really out of hand for me because it usually doesn't get this bad. And because I knew I was going to be making this video, I had to fight the urge to pick up and clean because I was like, nope, 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 we're going to shoot this video, so I'm going to leave everything like this. And yeah, so I had to fight that urge. But, I think maybe that's one of the biggest tips for me is the reason why it doesn't get too messy is because, one, I don't have too much stuff. Two, this is probably the best and biggest tip is to clean up as I go. I think the other big thing is fighting the urge to go shop and buy and purchase things, because I think there is a cycle to buying and decluttering. And if we're constantly buying, then we're constantly decluttering. And then we buy and declutter. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And when you think of it that way, it's so much money being wasted. So I think also because we're such a consumer culture, there is an emphasis on buying whatever's new. And we get hit with advertisements all the time. We have even influencers, showing us their latest hauls or, buys, and it gets to you after a while, and that whole keeping up with the Joneses and wanting to, have what the beautiful people have. That also can kind of come into play. So this overconsumption, we buy things, we bring it home, we realize that we really don't need it, or we don't like it, maybe the color's wrong. So then it goes into the decluttering pile. And then, I don't know, a month or two goes by and you're like, I actually really need that something or other, but maybe instead of blue, I need it in, green. So then we go ahead and purchase something similar again. And I think it takes a lot for us to break that cycle. So one of the ways to break it is to look at your favorite things, your favorite objects, and really appreciate them and use them. Sorry, there's I don't know what that noise is upstairs. They're doing something upstairs. So I hope that it's not catching in the audio. But yeah, so learn to appreciate your own stuff. I think that's one thing. That's a key thing. So if you love this sweater, wear it, use it, and appreciate it. And I think another thing, rather than treating ourselves with, let's say, a shopping spree or buying something new, we can treat ourselves with experiences and, whether if it's a trip or spending the day at the park or at the beach, meeting friends for a nice meal. The experiences build memories, and they really do fulfill us in a more meaningful way rather than just, material objects. So I think that's another thing. So those are just some of my thoughts. I mean, as we go into what seems to be a not great economy, and there is this threat of recession, I think it's even more critical for us to think about where our money is going. ways that we should be spending, no, ways that we should be saving rather than spending. Appreciate what we have and focus on experiences, like things going to the library, going on a bike ride, hanging out with friends, cooking a meal at home and sharing it with your family or friends. I save most of my receipts, and I save them in very specific places. I save my personal receipts in my file cabinet, my business receipts in another drawer. I find that I need them for figuring out my cost of goods as well as my personal budget. I also keep in my file cabinet important papers. I have just a general place where I throw important papers, and then later on I sort through them. Okay, even with my inventory room, my photographic room, it's important for me to keep this really organized, nice and tidy. I have these big plastic bins in which I keep my inventory. I usually bag them in Ziploc bags, and then they go into the plastic bins, which are then also covered so that the items are well protected from dust or dog hair or whatnot. So that's really important. I'm also bagging right here some brand new Trader Joe mini bags that I had picked up. And I just listed onto my online stores. And that jacket, I'm going to go ahead and hang it up in my closet where I hang up my coats and things for my inventory. Also going to quickly fold my clean laundry. And by the way, I'm really sorry for my the state of my voice. I'm dealing with some really bad allergies. I don't know exactly what I'm allergic to, and I've done a whole bunch of things lately. I've gone to my doctor, and she prescribed me some medication, which is really not working. I also went and had a mold specialist come by and check our house. And good news is there are no mold spores in the air. There was some mold in one of the bathrooms on an exterior wall, and we're going to be taking care of that. Also, there was some mold in part of the garage, so we're also going to have to remediate that area as well. But luckily, when we test the inside of the house, there aren't any floating mold spores. So then I'm thinking, what could I be allergic to? So I'm going to go back to my doctor and really say that I want a appointment with an allergist so that maybe I can pinpoint exactly what I'm allergic to. And I've never done that before, and I've always had allergies, and I just assumed that I'm allergic to pollen. And it used to be pretty seasonal, but as I got older, it's become more of a year-round thing. I had thought perhaps it is dust and dust mites, but I've been really going through and like washing the bedding in hot water. And lately, I've just been trying to vacuum as much as I can, thinking that, oh, if it is dust mites, if I keep vacuuming, will my allergies improve? And they're not. So I don't know. I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Okay, so after washing and folding the clothes, I'm just going to go ahead and put everything back. I also have under the bed storage in which I store seasonal items as well as items in which are kind of like maybe items. So I'm not quite sure if I want to keep them, but I put them here so that I can see if I use them in a certain amount of time, let's say, a month or two. And if they just sit there for, longer than a year, then I know that I'm probably not going to use it. But for me, this works out good. I have some space in there so that I can try this method. And I don't want to get rid of things quickly if I think that I might need them. I'm just double checking, make sure nothing else needs to go into this under bed storage area. So I also have cleaned up my closet. I decluttered my closet, so that's what that pile of clothes was. So I'm going to put that in my donation bag. All right, next on the list is to do quick dusting of all surfaces. And I like to do a dry dust before I wipe things down with a cleaner, or a cleaner. And oftentimes what is sitting on top, it's not really dirty, it's dusty. So if I take a duster to it, most of the time that's all it really needs is a good dusting. And I find that if I try to use like a wet cloth onto a dusty surface, it's just that much harder to clean because the dust gets smushed everywhere and then it turns into dirt, and then I have to double clean it to get the dirt off. So that's why I do this. I find that it saves time in the long run. And again, this is a dry dust cloth that I'm using as well as the duster. And this is a step that I really wanted to take, especially with my allergies being so bad. So again, I will be cleaning more frequently. And I think this is going to be important, especially with my allergies being so bad. And it's something that I really should be doing more of anyways. I think, the fact that I was not cleaning as often as I would like to kind of shows that my priorities were, a little skewed. And what I think is important, cleaning, organizing, was not the highest thing on my priority list. And, I was always worried about deadlines. Since I own my own business, making money, keeping my sales up, and things like that. But as I approach retirement, I think I'm starting to shift my priorities, and especially now that I'm babysitting my grandbaby Malia, that's also taking a priority. And babysitting her is a joy and it's important for me, but it's also work. So I'm actually kind of going through, I don't know, I guess it might be kind of like a life change where I'm deprioritizing making money and prioritizing things like, taking care of my grandbaby, taking care of my home. And it is quite a mindset shift for me. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it. And looking at my budget, looking at what I have saved, all of that, making sure that, I can survive when I retire, which, I'm hoping to fully retire, I don't know, in the next couple of years. That would be really great. So I do have these faux plants and flowers in my place, and what I have to do is I take them out, I shake them out to get the dust off of them, and I will be bringing in some live plants to help with the air quality too. So this pillow, my kids upstairs, they were getting rid of a bunch of pillows because they're getting like new living room. They're getting a new sofa, so they're changing out their pillows. I tried it. I took it from upstairs. I tried it, and I don't like the off balance. I like the 4 pillows as is, so I'm just gonna donate that pillow. And then finally, I'm all done. I am working on changing my mindset to make cleaning and caring for my home a higher priority. I realize that decreasing clutter so there's more space and having a clean and tidy home are so good for me emotionally and physically. So that was a lot for me, but it feels great to have it done. I really hope that some of these tips help you. Love that you're sharing some of your tips down below. If you're looking for any other videos on decluttering, frugal living, or starting over, check out my playlist. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you find wellness today and every day. See you next time. Bye.